So, I just released a video, and the title of the video was Was I a hater of Anthony Joshua? Question mark, question mark. You know what I'm saying? And it's starting to get a little bit of traction. So I see it got like, a little bit over 100 views after one day, and I salute that. Give me a second. I'm a little parched. To rehydrate. So I had to follow up with a part two expeditiously because, you know, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be honest. That that video, I went back almost 2 years into the archives, you know, just to pick through a couple of videos that I did on Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. And I had to edit. I had to edify myself a lot. I had to edify myself a lot to make sure I didn't sound too much like a hater. Because I'm not gonna lie, I was never, until this day, I was never the biggest Anthony Joshua fan. And at the same time, you know, uh, I wanted to make sure I was never, you know, just this huge fanboy of Deontay Wilder. At the end of the day, man, I had to have it balanced as possible. Keep in mind, I am from America, right? I'm not from across the pond, and there's like a lost in translation when American fight fans and the UK fight fans. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to go back and look through because I've always supported boxing, but I supported Anthony Joshua. But I still, it's like to me, it's a difference between giving somebody they roses while they can still smell them versus telling somebody that they defecation smells like roses. You know what I'm saying? Like, I appreciate it and I respect what all fighters do, but I appreciate and I respect what Anthony Joshua was accomplishing. But I'm not gonna lie, there was some times where I critiqued him in a negative way. I called him a paper champion. You know what I'm saying? I have to admit that because if I don't admit that, then I'm being very honest and very, very much a hypocrite if I can't admit the fact that I looked at Anthony Joshua as if. Hold on, 1 second. I looked at Anthony Joshua as, and I shouldn't say paper champion was too harsh. More of his pursuit of collecting his championship belts, his Infinity Stones. His pursuit was just manufactured, in my opinion. And when I look back at it, um, most fighters and most journeys on a path to a championship has to be cultivated, has to be manufactured in a way. I never suggested that Anthony Joshua didn't have the boxing skills to pay the bills. You know what I'm saying? I felt like that him collecting the belts were, you know, he was collecting vacated belts, and he was fighting guys that weren't champions, weren't proven, and he was knocking guys out, in the first round, second round, third round. You know what I'm saying? And it was like he was into his eighth or ninth fight and had only spent like 20, 30 minutes totally together combined, all his fights, like 9 fights, about 30 minutes in the ring. Um, So I was saying he was a manufactured champion or a paper champion. And like I said, man, when I'm wrong, I can admit when I'm wrong, but I also call it how I see it. And it's never to be disrespectful. It's always from a level of respect. It's just that I'm a human being, flawed. I'm not trying to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be me. So I always gave AJ credit. As you can see, you can look at this video, part one. You can look at 2 years, and you can see where I always try to give credit where credit was due, and I always try to call it how I see it. You dig what I'm saying? Like I said, um, Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz part two. I said, plain as day, most likely the way I see it, Anthony Joshua had a bad camp, or he got concussed in he got concussed in camp, or whatever the case may be. But I said, most likely he's going to come back and beat Andy Ruiz in the second fight. I was pretty much settled on the. I looked at that kind of like that was a fact of the matter. Let me say, it's a fact that I thought that Anthony Joshua was going to beat Andy Ruiz in the second fight. But it's also a fact when I did my final prediction was I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and ride with Andy Ruiz. I'm gonna go out on a limb. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm gonna say, let's see if Andy Ruiz can catch lightning in a bottle twice, 2 times, fingers crossed. And I'm gonna say Andy Ruiz in my prediction gonna win by a knockout. So that's how I look at it. Balance. Like, yeah, I was picking Andy Ruiz. I wasn't the only one, obviously. I was picking Andy Ruiz to win in a rematch. But plain as day, you can hear me say Andy Ruiz probably is going to lose. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even see him training. And when I seen the weigh in, and he came in 280 and out of shape and had a T-shirt on, I definitely jumped and said, man, I really want to change my prediction. I just don't. I'm not quick to change predictions because to me, predictions is just predictions. It's not like I'm setting it in stone, or I feel like I don't feel like I never felt like my prediction is going to change the outcome. When I do predictions, it's more of just trying to um, take off some of the seriousness of the fight, and my predictions I do kind of not for fun. I take them seriously, but not too seriously. It's just something I like to do. I like to do predictions. Um, I like to collect data. I like to look at things, pros and cons, you know, past, present, future, and I like to see if I can get a prediction right. But it's not like I'm just gonna stand on a prediction and say I'm right, I'm always right, and no matter what you say, you're wrong. And then after I'm proven wrong, I'm still gonna stand on my prediction and say, make up a bunch of excuses and say, but you didn't look at this, you didn't look at this, and this isn't right, and the judges, and I'm not gonna do all that. If I make a prediction and my fighter loses, the next day I come out and say, hey, I was wrong. My fighter lost. I didn't see that one coming, or I didn't, you know, I didn't look at it from this way. Hindsight is 2020 for a reason. You did. At the end of the day, if you look at my prediction list, I'm damn near 80%. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. When I did my prediction, my last prediction video I made, I got every single one of them was knocked out the park, from Teofimo Lopez to Jamel Charlo, Jamar Charlo, Errol Spence, uh, Devin Haney. I was on the money with all those, so yeah, you know what I'm saying. Anyways, but that's just me. I try to be balanced. I try to be fair. I try to be most likely not. I don't try to be this. I am this through and through. Respectful. Period. Point blank. It's a gentleman's sport. I'm a gentleman. I earn my respect because I give respect. If you can't be respectful, I can't fuck with you. Period. Point blank. Because then we got an issue. You know what I'm saying? Like, then we have an issue that has to be rectified because I cannot coexist with disrespect. So, anyways, um, I don't want to stretch this video out too long. I did want to do a little bit more of a thorough uh, follow-up video for my part two of Anthony Joshua. You know, so let's bring it up to speed. He comes back. He wins in his rematch against Andy Ruiz, and I critique that as well. As far as, was he on his bicycle too much? Was he boxing? Was he fighting in a timid manner? Was he afraid? Um, or did he just change his game plan, fight the fight that he had to fight in order to get his belts back, to get the W, and to regain some confidence? I seen it from both ways. I thought that he fought a good fight. I thought that it was a smart fight, very cerebral. But at the same time, I also said that it looked like his style, him losing the weight, him working on being a little bit more like Muhammad Ali, and boxing and sticking and moving and the sweet science was good. But certain points and times where he would come in and they would engage in the phone booth, he still looked a little shaky, still looked a little timid. And I said, knockouts matter. I said I still would like to see him, even though Andy Ruiz is faster, you fight his fight, it's dangerous. I get that, I understand that, and I respect that. But I still feel like, in order for you to totally be able to redeem your loss, yeah, you can win. You can do a 12-round win, that's boxing. But in order for you to totally hurdle that obstacle, a knockout would be nice. A knockout would be not that I just have to see somebody get knocked out, especially in the heavyweight division. It's just not like I just have to see a knockout. But for me, like when Lennox Lewis got knocked out by Rahman, you know what I'm saying? He came back with his rematch and he knocked Hasim Rahman out. He had to. You know what I'm saying? Like Deontay Wilder right now. I made a video on Deontay Wilder. So like, okay, before I go to Deontay Wilder, let me stay on Anthony Joshua. It's nice that Anthony Joshua came and knocked out Pulev. It's a good look. It shows that he still has the integrity, the fortitude to commit to the knockout. Even though it took him some boxing to do it, I'm not going to critique him at all for his strategy that he had to use to beat Pulev. Even if he would have went 12 rounds, I would have gave him credit, but I would have pulled back a little bit of credit and said it would have nice to have got a knockout, especially after he hurt him in the third round. But as you can see, Anthony Joshua has made some adjustments, and he went in there and did what he had to do and got Pulev out of there like he was supposed to. And I already heard where Anthony Joshua was like, I kind of want to go back and do a redo with Andy Ruiz, because he's built up his confidence more. He's worked on his strategy more. He's made a few changes and adjustments in his technique and his tactic, and he's comfortable with it now. And I think he has that confidence in him to go and knock out Andy Ruiz, because why? Like I said, knockouts do matter. You know what I'm saying? So, on to Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder, the suit was too heavy. The water was spiked. I didn't have my legs, complications. The referee, he was drunk. He looked like he was in the pocket. He was paid for. The glove gate 1, floppy glove. The glove gate 2, egg weight in the glove. You dig what I'm saying? Mark Breland, throwing in the towel, snakes in the grass, etc., so on, so forth. All of that. Could all of that be erased with him if he fought Tyson Fury and knocked him out? In my opinion, no, no, no. A lot of people have completely given up on Deontay Wilder. But I also want to understand and try to you see how I see when I see like your world is like this. From what you understand, and it might be like that, but everything you know is inside this perspective and this lens and this focus. You gotta understand that it's a universe, and it's so much that we don't understand. I don't travel in the same circles as Deontay Wilder, so even though some things I just are out of my stretch of imagination, I have to say that no matter what I believe, there's nothing that I can 100% stand on and say factually I know. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't see the benefit in focusing on it. When you start focusing, you're saying the referee, you're saying the water, you're saying this. You didn't say the suit, but when the suit was floating out there, when everything that was being said was floating out there, for you to focus on that and not focus on, what you need to do to make improvements on yourself. And say, for example, that is what he's doing, because I don't know. What if he is making the improvements on himself? What if he does come in and take care of business and knock Tyson Fury out? That's first of all, that's exactly what he needs to do. That's what he has to do in order to erase a lot of this from a lot of people's mind. Is Tyson Fury has to be knocked out, sacrificed, decapitated, like he has to be laid out, and then everybody will get amnesia expeditiously, quick, fast, and in a hurry. But like right now, when you say that the judge was like the referee, Kenny Bayless, um, when you coming out with, people was giving him flack for like the dancing on the Juneteenth, the video where he's doing his little dance. And I'm like, you know what, man, I ain't gonna judge nobody off of that. As far as people do what they do, to each is his own. When he came out and he did his interview with Brian Custer on The Last Man Standing, and he was talking about Dillian White, and he did some kind of was it not an analogy, or I don't even know what this was, but he was saying in comparison to, maybe a boyfriend or girlfriend breakup situation, and he put himself in the position of the female with the female genitalia. I'm like, whoa, Then I think about like at the same time, uh, what's his name, Johnny Nelson. He's bored in the house playing with his kids because of the pandemic, and he came out with a video dressed in the full dress with a women's dress on. And I'm like, I'm not gonna make no big deal about that. To each is his own. That's not my cup of tea, but hey, people different. Everybody different. They live in different lifestyles. They travel in different circles, and different things in their world can happen that are outside of my understanding and outside of my lifestyle. So, it has nothing to do with anything. That's their personal life, and that's the way they think. What I care about is what they do in the ring, what they do in the gym, when they training, is what I use to inspire me. The dedication, the discipline, the technique, things that Deontay Wilder I thought was working on after the first fight with Luis Ortiz. I thought he was going back to the drawing board to start working on his fundamentals, like Anthony Joshua did when he lost. And Anthony Joshua lost to Andy Ruiz, and he came down and started working on the fundamental, the basics, the 1-2s, and he started to rebuild himself back. He went down to the foundation and started to rebuild himself back up to make sure his pillars were sturdy, make sure his foundation was level. And I thought Deontay Wilder was doing the same thing when he fought Luis Ortiz the first time, and it was a tough fight. And he came out after that doing jump ropes, and he was saying, I got to work back on the basics. I got comfortable just knocking people out and relying on my right hand. I realized that I was cutting too many corners. Let me go and start to do the one. And I think when he said that, I was like, you know what? I respect that. And what messed that up was probably like when he knocked out Dominic Brazil. I think that just inflated him back up to believing he could go back to cutting corners. Same thing with Luis Ortiz Part 2. We know how that played out, and then finally leading up to his loss with Tyson Fury. I feel like he the first punch that he threw in Tyson Fury Part 2, the very first punch that he threw was the right hand. Period. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's like if you was in that's like if you was in a battle and your biggest weapon that would bail you out was a grenade, and you only had one grenade, and you got different arsenal around you, but the first thing you decide to do is throw your grenade, and you miss, and now you got to go the rest of the battle without a grenade. And even Lennox Lewis was like, you got to set that punch up. You don't want to let, and he hit and he caught Tyson Fury pretty flush with that first shot he threw. And after that, it was a wrap. It was all telegraphed. He never threw it and landed it again. He never had legs. He got embarrassed. He got ragdolled. He got whatever adjective you want to put on it, mollywopped, tuned up, undressed, exposed, beat down, however you want to express yourself in a disrespectful way, in a dizzy way. He was very dizzy and got dizzy on that uh, second fight with Tyson Fury. He got beat, and now it comes to where right now most people, most people that's into boxing are talking about Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. They like Dillian White, Deontay Wilder, even Alexander Usyk. Get out the way. Get out the way. We want to see a unification. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, man, video stretched out longer than I wanted to, as always. So I'm gonna check out for that. That was my part 2 to was I a hater on Anthony Joshua, just to let everybody know. I was never like a hater. I'm not a hater by nature. It's not in me to be like that. But I critiqued him and I was honest. In certain points, I was just dead wrong. And I'm slowly coming to the point where he's earning my respect more and more because he's making the adjustments. And I no longer look at him as a paper champion. And I think his loss made him a better champion. And I think his loss humbled his fans and humbled himself. It was a minor setback for a major comeback. Can Deontay Wilder do the same thing? I don't know. I just don't know. Don't even care to know at this current point in time. Nocturnal thoughts. Salute.